You can flex your muscle on that one.
But TK, Tony Kanaan, is lurking in third position. Just have the feeling that he may be just waiting. There is the Andretti Autosport team and where they are running. Kanaan and Hunter Ray are third and fourth, and back a little ways, Marco and Danica.
And if you remember, guys, when we talked about Kanaan and Hunter Ray earlier, what just made comment to saying when we watched from their onboards during practice, we said, boy, they're
one to go at the line.
One
down to Lindy.
During Simona Di Silvestro's pit stop, there was an injury to Brett Snyder, her right rear tire changer. He hurt his ankle. He has been taken away. You can see ice and a wrap on it there. She came back in and topped off fuel, and now she has been given a drive-through penalty under green for hitting that crew member, Bob.
Okay.
It's just not penalty enough for hurting your own guy. Yeah, they bring you back in and zap you again.
Getting set to go back to green flag racing. It's Franchitti, Dixon, Kanaan, Hunter Ray, and Castro Neves, the top five.
What a move by Dixon on the low side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Drive it down in there hard.
But here comes Dario. He's got that momentum on the top side.
Those guys don't look like teammates, do they? Dixon is going to hang on to the lead.
Wow.
And that makes our seventh lead change.
I was almost going to say that you want to be leading here on this length of a racetrack, whereas most big ovals you want to be second on a restart. But wow, Scott Dixon showed me wrong there.
Now, it was an interesting technique that Scott Dixon used when they gave the one to go. He got down into second gear as his teammate Dario Franchitti did, but he used more throttle and he held on to the brake. As soon as they got to the go zone and the green flag flew, he got that 10 seconds of extra overtake, and that's what gave him the momentum to get by and into the lead.
Wow. Thanks, Jack. That's very interesting. But Dario's who's been running high, now is running low. And that, I think, is the place to be.
And for both of these guys to look down low and keep the car down there, the cars must be turning really well. Anytime you run that tighter radius down low, to stay down there and run flat. Whoa! Wow. Man, just up across his nose. Pretty well handling race cars right here, guys.
And guys, you talked about the car must be turning. They did no changes on that last stop. Tony Kanaan, another guy who's been happy with his race car all day. We're from 15th place up to 7th. Now he's in 3rd. No changes that last time around. And they told him he still had 21 overtakes at that last stop.
Wow, Dixon has now lost 3 spots.
Well, Dixon had to get out of the throttle there one time when he was behind Kanaan. And there goes Ryan Hunter-Ray just by him on the outside. But we know Dixon's going to look outside, look inside, come back. Look at TK.
On the low side.
He hasn't led yet.
Whoa.
Still hasn't.
Nope.
And he's using the overtake, guys. He's using the overtake. It really helps on a short track. This is the first time that the Indy Racing League has used the overtake, and it catapults the 7-11 car of Tony Kanaan into the lead.
And he's got his teammate, Ryan Hunter-Ray, in that ethanol car, wants to ride that momentum by Dario as well.
And Kanaan still has one more overtake than does Franchitti. So he's made himself to the lead, and now Dixon on the low side.
Ryan Hunter-Ray and Scott Dixon battle for 3rd.
That tucks him back behind him.
That is a preview that the overtake assist is going to do exactly that. And you want to save it to the end unless you need track position. Always has to lift. He thought about it, but
and that's just what you're saying is anytime you get to the low side of this racetrack, that front of the car's really got to turn for you. And if it doesn't turn and starts going up the racetrack, you got to get out of the throttle. Just what happened to Dixon.
And Dario's gotten back to the high side. Going after Kanaan.
This is the first time Kanaan has led since Chicagoland last year.
This is also the first time that they have the new aero configuration that was introduced at Kentucky last year that now you see for the very first time on the short oval. And that combination, and I think the fact that you've got kind of filtered sun today, and that they swept the high groove. Remember, we had a long caution, and they swept all the marbles off that Jackaroo was telling us about. Now they got 2 grooves to race on.
We are at the halfway point. 125 laps completed and 125 to go. And these guys are certainly entertaining the fans who have come to Iowa Speedway today, and those of you watching on Versus.
And every bit of that 2 grooves, and Jan, as you were saying about the aero changes that we made from Kentucky last year, is you had those little wickers that were on the side of the end plates there, and it made for dirty air. But now the way these guys are looking to the right and to the left and diving, you know, inside, outside, it really has allowed them to do that, where before it created dirty air and they couldn't do that so aggressively.
So there is the battle between Kanaan and Franchitti, and right behind are Hunter, Ray, Dixon, and Castro Neves, the top 5 at the Iowa Corn Indy 250. We still have a torrid battle up front for the lead. Tony Kanaan and Dario Franchitti are wheel to wheel. Our Iowa Corn Indy 250 race recap shows that Tony has led 13 laps. We've had 3 cautions and 6 leaders, 9 lead changes, the record for the most lead changes. 13, that happened in 2007, and at the halfway point, we are at 9 lead changes, and Hideki Muto is in pit lane. That team has been struggling big time all weekend.
There's a big run. There's a big run. And he's got that done. Did you see all the momentum he carried on the start finish there? And just, but he drove it down in low there. Again, to drive in there to turn 1 like that, you got to have confidence that the car's going to stay down there when you drive down in, versus come on up and take yourself and Kanaan out of the race.
Look at Takuma Sato.
Sato has moved up to 5th position. He passed Elio a few seconds ago, and Takuma Sato is having his best race of the year.
And keeping in mind, ovals were a whole new game to him this year. And then the short oval, this is brand new to him.
Great run, Lindy.
Yeah, guys, Takuma had never even seen this place until Friday afternoon. His highest oval start is here, and everyone around him says that he is just such a stud here. In fact, him and his teammates E.J. Vizo and Mario Arias watched our Versus qualifying show over and over last night to study the lines of the other drivers. You're watching a battle for 2nd place right now. Speaking of his teammate E.J. Vizo, he started 19th, is up to 7th, one of the biggest movers here today. Although he may not start high up on these short overs, he and his engineer Bill Pappas just always seem to have a good short oval strategy.
There is E.J. Vizo running in 7th spot behind Elio Castro Neves and ahead of Will Power, the pole sitter for this race, who has not been a contender since the first 30-some laps.
Yeah, he jumped out to lead in that clean air, but anytime we got it, as soon as we started getting into traffic, just got challenged with that dirty air and is fighting to stay up in the top 10.
Scott Dixon was battling Tony Kanaan there for 2nd place for a lap or 2, and now he's dropped back just a little bit. As the leader comes up on some of the slower traffic, that's Bertrand Baguette.
This is where you got to be so careful.
Simona Di Silvestro comes in for another pit stop.
Here TK just kind of breathe off the throttle there as they're going by some slower cars.
It's Roman C. And here is Dan Weldon and Vitor Meira. They run in 9th and 10th. Dan Weldon, a former winner here. We're on board with him in the National Guard car.
Looking back at Vitor Meira in the ABC car for Foyt, and we saw...
Well, he had the lift, he had to go down a gear, so here comes Meira.
Nope, all that momentum got taken away just there. But we heard Meira after he crashed. He said, AJ, I got a good car. And he does have a good car, and now he's got that pass done.
And remember, Vitor crashed in practice yesterday before qualifying.
Clear.
There Briscoe and a move for the lead.
Oh, yeah.
Kanaan coming back after Dario.
And this has been a great race so far.
And these first 3, 4 cars, you can put them, they seem very even.